guys? Welcome back to Neon Trash. You got Tommy the Hammer hanging out with Bee Cee and Johnny Rocket, and we're swigging beers, hanging out, and it is Bee Cee's pick. Bee Cee, what are we watching tonight on Neon Trash?
Alright, so Tom gave us a theme, or gave me a theme.
I did.
And he just said spring or summer. And so after looking through an assortment of options, I was like, this film kind of fits that vibe. It's not necessarily like in your face summer, but there's elements that make it work. And it's interesting. So I figured, I don't know, they already like the director. We've covered him before, but this is one of his weirdest in films, and it doesn't have that much attention.
Ooh.
It is called I'm Flash, and it is directed by Toshiaki Toyoda. He's done Blue Spring, Nine Souls, all of the short films on this exact Blu-ray set. So you know who he is at this point if you've been around Neon Trash. Anyways, this film is about a religious cult leader, and he gets a mass following. I won't go into any details. The trailer will tell you the rest, but it's weird. It's kind of summary. It's time.
It's time.
Well,
y'all know this point, right? This point in time, Tom's gonna chop a bunch of out of this right here, just like chop, chop. All right. You guys know this routine.
check out that motherfucking trailer
And
peep that shit. When we get back, you're gonna know our opinions on I Am Flash.
神はいつも悲劇のもとしか作り出さない。僕らの痕跡を世界は消し去っていく。一瞬で消え去る。死は究極の救いだ。名前なんて知らねえよ。
ルイ様の身の安全をくれぐれもお願いしますよ。
私の妹はあなたの教団の信者だった。
いいセンスしてるね。
自殺したわ。
俺教団辞めるって決めたから猿芝居はもう飽きたんだよ。
無理よあの子はもう。
お前さ人生楽しいか？
人生ってそんなに楽しいもんなんですか？俺たちにあの人やれって言うんですか？サクッとやっちゃってください。
今振り返ってみると人生変えるきっかけなんていっぱいあったような気がする。
運命に突き動かされた3人の最後の戦いが始まる。タイムフラッシュ。
Whoa, God, too much snacks.
Are we all ready?
I'm ready. Do it.
Alright, y'all. Welcome back to Neon Trash. We just got done watching I'm Flash by Toshiaki Toyoda. I think I was stretching a little bit with the summer vibes, the summer pick, but at the same time, I wasn't. This is on an island, so therefore summer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But like, there's
sunny beaches.
No, warm sunny beaches, lots of swimming. I don't know. So that's what I went with.
I thought it was apt.
Yeah. That being said,
That's close enough.
we've watched plenty of films from this director. He's been a hit for us most of the time, but I feel like this is one of his weirder ones, like thematically. It's hard to say that, but it's weird. It's not immediately accessible, but it has an interesting mood to it. It's got a good soundtrack. The actors are still like interesting, and it's got this kind of ragtag group that you just enjoy following, even though what's happening is depressing, which is kind of a common theme throughout his films.
Yeah.
Nine Souls, Blue Spring, Hanging Garden, so many things that we've covered on this channel are like really emotional and moving films. But there's laughs along the way. There's moments where you can kind of just be chill and appreciate what's going on with the scenery, what they're doing, whatever. And that's kind of the beauty to him. He makes films that are like meditative and punk at the same time. And so with this one being a commentary on like religious cult leaders and glorification and how we find salvation or meaning in our lives, it's interesting. And while it's depressing in terms of what's happening, I think I leave most of it just feeling intrigued. Like, he has a unique perspective on how he feels all about this, and I just like watching it unfold. It's only an hour and a half, so
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm gonna move to Tommy the Hammer.
Oh, I thought for sure he was coming over here.
Me too.
Boy,
I think you're. I don't know. I thought this was a good pick for the spring-summer theme. Not just because of the beach aesthetic and whatnot, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff beneath the surface here, and I feel like the characters, they're embroiled in a very hot situation, and it's hard to explain because you need to watch the movie to see where it goes. These characters come out of nowhere, seemingly, and there's a couple of different people that you're introduced to throughout the course of the beginning of the film, but you know, naturally, halfway through it, everything starts to come together, and that's when I was fully invested, was at that halfway mark. Suddenly I'm like, okay, I see what the director's going for here. Right off the riff, I liked the characters, I liked the music, the setting was gorgeous. One thing that Bee Cee mentioned at the very end of the movie, when the credits were rolling, was that maybe I thought it was a sad movie and a depressing movie, but he had mentioned that it wasn't sad and depressing because the characters brought him there, and he's right. These characters are deeply flawed. They're not good people in many respects, but I feel like the theme of the movie is depressing. It deals with things like scams, religion, terrible people doing terrible things, families that are corrupt, and things of that nature where, I don't know, as an individual that would never be embroiled with the things that these characters are, I found it to be very, very gloomy, very depressing. And at the very end, when all the shoes drop and the pieces come together, I was still kind of left a little bit sad, and maybe I did kind of come around and feel something for these characters, because just because we don't know them intimately or understand where they, began or where they ended, necessarily, doesn't mean I can't fathom it, or at least use my imagination to kind of put myself into their shoes.
It really is, and it's I don't know, extra unsettling because so many of these characters are flawed and unsavory. It's like, normally you find yourself naturally, gravitating towards a character, whether it's the main character or not. There's somebody, you can usually identify with somehow, or is like, kind of, obviously with the audience's avatar is supposed to be in the movie, etc. And like, it's I don't know if I've ever watched a movie quite like that before. So I'll definitely give it that credit. I mean, at first it was like, like, what are we gonna? Is gonna try like feed us some message through this prompt? Like what are we gonna get here? Really, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know about this. And at the end, it's like, okay. And then by the time you meet the mom, you're like, oh shit. And now you finally start to really feel sorry for the guy. So it's like, yeah, you don't like yet still feel sorry for so many of these characters. Like, it's a really unsettling feeling. So it's now that I'm kind of chewing on it a little bit here. It's like, okay, I get it. Because at first it's like, about that age-old question, what is life, what is death, life after death, what's, do we have soul? It's like, man, we talked about this for a while, but it's an interesting way to rehash that conversation, and it's like, okay, I'll take that interpretation on it, I guess, just something that, really helps, just give you I don't know, it keeps it very ambiguous, it really allows you to interpretate your own, fill in your own blanks in a lot of ways. Like, did the mom have the dad killed and the grandpa? Like, that was a bullet hole in the skull there. And can I start star counts?
Let's do it. Roll
okay. Honestly, I was only feeling about a 6 there at the very, and it was like, I don't know, but chewing on it a little bit more and just, I don't know, listen to your guys talk about it and just, I don't know, finally trying to think of my own thoughts, because again, this is one of those films where like I thought about starting on a little bit there towards the end, but I mean, I really wasn't, it had me drawn into that point anyway, because I'm just so like, what is it? What am I doing? What am I watching? Like, what is the top? So I'll give this a solid 7.5 with some room to grow. I think if I watched it again, I would definitely score this higher.
Again, second time watching this, I'd say I like it about equally. It's not my favorite from this director.
No.
But again, like, a big reason I still brought it tonight, I'm happy this worked out this way, was like, it felt new to Tom, hopefully to John too. Someone that they've seen this director before.
Yeah, it did.
And it's so distinctly him, from like the slow motion to the music to all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like what he's dealing with thematically, I don't know, it's also familiar and different at the same time. And like that's what's cool about this film within his filmography.
Right. I definitely appreciate it for that, for sure. It's just
And again, I like that its conclusion, while dealing with something as messy and inconclusive as religion, is kind of messy and inconclusive. And if there is one character, it's kind of the one bodyguard hitman that's, I'd say he's the most neutral of the three. And I feel like at the end, the film is kind of like a life goes on, and I might see you around, I might not, and is down as that might seem.
Right. What else can you do but be cold and calculating like that guy was? Like,
right.
All right.
It's necessarily anti-religion. It's more about like how people are just deceptive, or they live lives that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And so, in that way, again, it's just an intriguing film. It hasn't moved me as much emotionally as some of his other works, but I like it a lot. I'm going with a solid 8 out of 10.
Ooh, okay. I do think it is easy, considering that we watched his other films. Those movies are, I mean, they're in a league of their own, because this guy is immensely talented behind the camera. And when you watch those movies, Hanging Garden, Nine Souls, I don't know, I feel like those movies are so decadent.
He was in his bag.
But this is
Yes.
very decadent too, but it feels smaller. It almost feels like you're opening up a box of chocolates, but it's only like 6 chocolates. And you bite into one and you're like, that was damn good, but like it's parceled down to a very smaller scope. And after we watched the movie, we watched an interview with the director, and what I gathered is, I mean, this guy, I mean, he doesn't limit himself to maybe necessarily what he himself wants to do as a director, but he's also willing to work with the scene around him, with actors, actresses, and maybe he'll do something big budget, maybe he'll do something extremely low budget, and I guess the same could be said for like any director, really. But I don't know, just hearing it from the man himself, seeing his movies with Bee Cee and John here, and then checking out this film right here, I always appreciate when a director takes a chance and does something that might not be instantly gratifying, you know what I'm saying? Or an imperfect film. And I don't know, I really like this movie because at the end of the day, that kind of lost swaying motion where you're like, okay, what's up with these characters? What's up with the story? Where are we going here? The whole movie itself is filled with wonderful music, wonderful cinematography, and I mean, despite maybe we can't necessarily latch onto these characters like his other films or really wholly sink our teeth into this narrative, it ain't bad. Like, it's not bad at all. Like, I'm glad I watched it, and if you were to just show this movie to people without any context of his other films or whatever, they would walk away from it like, what the fuck was that? But thinking about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you can't start with this one.
I don't know. I disagree. Like, I think you could. Like, I think you could.
If you're gonna introduce this director to,
not necessarily that being the end game. I think if you were just like, hey, let me show you a movie, they'll be like, they'll have flashes of that beach in their head, or they might think about the depressing conversations these characters were having, or the flawed nature of their family, or they might think of that crazy indie rock, acid jazz soundtrack that was permeating the entire film, and they might still walk away from it going, I didn't like that, but they thought about it, and that's important. So
it will leave an impression for sure.
I'm torn. Like, I almost want to give it an 8. I almost want to give it an 8.
Join me.
What are you, forming a call?
Yeah, join me.
Why not? 8 out of 10. All right, Bee Cee. Boom.
Love that.
Good pick here. And yeah, it definitely kerfuddled us to a degree. But we had a good time tonight. We're eating junk food. We're watching bizarre indie Japanese films.
Like
and we're hanging out with the boys, right?
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Well, on that note, guys, I hope it's been informative. Until the next time, tune in to Neon Trash. Good night.
Thanks for hanging out with us.